We like doing our own thing, and they're Venmoing each other for rent.
So like the man is the provider as far as the mortgage, the big bills, and I might buy all the groceries. I am in TJ Maxxon, you know what I'm saying?
One person pays all of your bills. They expect something in return. And what they expect in return is control.
All right, this is a question that I definitely need to get an answer to. And today we're gonna find out. And the question is, how do couples handle their bills? All over online, I hear people saying 50-50. Some say 100-0. But the thing that I find really interesting is a lot of times when a 50-50 budget split is discussed, the women say a lot of mean things about men. Whether they are not a real man, they don't know how to handle the business, the man's a provider. And I always find it interesting because if a man handles all the bills, what does that make the woman? This is not one of these videos, guys, where it's about men and women. It's just an interesting conversation that I observed throughout TikTok and just having normal conversations with people that I always wanted to know what is the right way to handle the bills. So I'm gonna play some TikTok videos today and I'm gonna give you guys my opinion about how bills should be handled. And let's see what you guys think as well.
When I see that a couple has to electronically transfer money to and from each other, like I talk to couples all the time, John, that maybe they've just both agreed, yeah, we don't want to share our money, we like doing our own thing, and they're Venmoing each other for rent and Venmoing each other because they went out to a nice dinner and he paid and now I have to pay my half. That right there, nothing strikes me as more absurd.
Now, I will tend to agree with that. That is a very different dynamic that I don't do, but I do know a lot of other couples out there that they do that, which is they're Venmoing each other money based upon the rent or the dinner, or if they go out to a concert or for the tickets. That is a little strange. That's a very strange conversation to have with someone. Now, I will say this. I will give a little background about my situation as far as my parents' situation when it comes to handling bills. They have that mentality. My mom always says, this is my money. She pays things with her money, and then my dad pays things with his money. I never quite understood that dynamic, and every time my mom always said, well, he has no money, he's broke. I'm like, well, technically you're broke too. And she's like, well, no, I have my money, he don't have no money, so I don't know why he's making these decisions because he has no money. And it just blows my mind that some people see relationships like that. Me personally, that's not my thing. If that's something you guys agree with, definitely drop it down in a comment and let me know, because I would love to hear someone's, a different perspective about the situation.
50-50 is not about the money. It's more so like the man is the provider as far as the mortgage, the big bills, and I might buy all the groceries. I am in TJ Maxxon, you know what I'm saying? Making this house look like a home. That's my 50% that I bring, because as a man, you can't really bring what I bring. You can't make this house a home like I can.
Now that to me, I don't like that. I don't agree with that at all. Just simply saying you TJ Maxxon, you take care of the house, you do all the house things, while the man solely has to be responsible for all the bills and be the provider. This seems to me like it's unfair. The reason why is because what if the man just is a people pleaser? He just wants to please you and he's getting into debt because he don't want you to know that the money he's providing is not enough, okay? Because to a man, that is a sense of providing, right? Saying, I don't want to tell my significant other no, so I'm gonna get into debt in order to keep her happy. And I'll just deal with it later on when I get my bonus. So I deal with it later on. I would just not spend money for me. I would just spend money to pay back this debt. You stop doing all these things and one person has no idea about what's going on. Listen, I understand it is a major help doing groceries, doing things in the house. I do understand it's a major help. But I don't quite understand as women how you can feel comfortable knowing if the provider is gone, what more can you bring to the table? What more can you do? Where, because listen, money makes the world go round, okay? If one person's not bringing in, that's it. The whole thing collapses. And if you're not cooking, doing groceries, and you're not TJ Maxx in the house, as she said, that could be easily replaced, don't you think?
Every couple should have 4 bank accounts. You have the one bank account where both of you put your check in, and that's your joint account. It pays bills, light, car notes, everything that's a necessity to live. The second account, a savings account, where you both agree to put X amount of dollars of that money in it, and it takes 2 signatures to move it. The third and fourth account, she should have her own bank account and you should have your own bank account. She can do whatever she want to do. She ain't got to check with you and ask, and you can do whatever you want to do and you ain't got to check with her and ask. And that way, guess what? The bills are paid, you have a roof over your head and a car to drive. You all are trying to save a little bit of money, and you gotta have your own life.
Now that is closer to how I do my situation, but it's a little different because the problem that most people have is how much money to save. One might be a saver, one might be a spender. So to try to meet in the middle with that saving aspect might be a little difficult, especially if, you know, it's not a perfect scenario. Not both people make the same amount of money. Someone might make a whole lot more and someone might make a whole lot less. So, okay, why I have to put all this extra money into savings when it's things that I want to do in my own personal account and buy my own things, and that could lead to a little discomfort. But hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a firm believer putting all your money into one pot and you figure it out. But I can understand how difficult that situation could be as well, because it just seems very transactional. Like, okay, put money in the joint account to pay bills. Okay, now you gotta negotiate the bills, right? Like, what do you deem as a bill and what do you deem as necessary? You figure that out. Then how much money to put into savings? Then how much money to keep for yourselves in the end? And that is, to me, where the big problem lies as well. Because if someone brings in a majority of the income, how are you splitting that? Okay? Now, in a perfect world, if you both agree, hey, we're gonna split it down the middle 50-50, then that's great. But sometimes certain people could feel a specific way about it. So to me, I like what he's saying. It does make sense, because if you guys are struggling, you're both struggling together. It doesn't feel like, well, this person's not holding the weight, whatever. You can handle it that way, but it's still, that's better. That's definitely better than a TJ Maxx situation.
My experience with relationships that have that kind of dynamic is where one person pays all of your bills, they expect something in return. And what they expect in return is control. With the money, they control. And what happens is you lose a bit of yourself in those sorts of dynamics. You lose a little bit of your independence. You lose a little bit of your sense of self. And over time, you lose your entire identity. At least that's my experience. And those are the ones that lead to divorces in my office.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And I definitely do agree with that. That's why I don't understand the dynamic of how people just, have one person handle all the bills. Because that person that handles all the bills, really, they control you, right? And this is not even just a man thing. This could also be a woman as well, right? If a woman makes a majority of the money, all the money, it feels like a sense of like they have control of the situation. Because in anything in life, in a business, if someone has a majority stake of a business, they get majority. Their decision is the majority decision. Their decision holds a lot more weight. So in a relationship, it's the same. It definitely feels the same knowing that one person is the one that provides all the money, handles all the bill. How, when he said something like, hey, this is, or he or she says something, is like you're gonna argue with them because like, well, it's their money, right? I'm just here just taking care of the house or doing whatever it is that I'm doing while this person's the main provider. And some men, I see a lot with men, they like that. They like to be in a position of power and control. And that's where things get really dicey. So I don't understand. You guys can let me know how you feel about it, with one person being the 100% provider of a household. And if you think that's the ideal situation, or do you agree with what the guy just said? That is a sense of control. I would love to hear, especially a woman. If there's ladies out there, there's women out there who are experiencing this, drop a comment down below, because I'm really interested to see how you feel about this dynamic.
I don't believe in equality. I believe in equity.
What's the difference?
Equality is you and me, we're dating. You make $500,000 a year. I make $50,000 a year. We go 50-50 on our rent on our apartment. Whereas equity is if you pay for most of the rent and I pay for my portion. And it is prorated based on how much we make, because it is then a comparable burden on our financial situation.
Now that is the rich BFF, if you guys don't know who she is. And that scenario in a perfect world makes sense. Now, I know it sounds hard because to some people to hear it, it sounds like transactional. It just sounds like, what, prorated? No, that's confusing. But if you want to be fair, that is the proper approach to take when handling bills. If someone makes the most, that person shouldn't have to be the one to carry most of the burden. It should be equal. It really should. But as I said, in a perfect world, that makes sense. That really does. Like if you think about anything we do in life, that's the way it works. You want to make it as even as possible. And having equity, as she said, rather than it just being a percentage and equality, is not the same. It really isn't. And that's why I really like that equity aspect of it. I really do. Now, of course, if you go tell your significant other, this is what you're trying to do, you're going to probably get into a big argument because sometimes the income disparity is so large, it just seems like it's not fair. But that method is pretty good. Now, online, she got destroyed for that. She really did. Someone said a dumb comment, and was because then I guess they didn't know who she was. And they were saying, well, that's cool because you don't make majority of the money, but watch things change when you make a bulk of the money. She's actually a multi-millionaire. I think she is the breadwinner in that relationship. So her saying that is actually trying to take care of the person who makes less. So she's saying it from a different perspective.
As a man, I do firmly believe that a man should pay for everything. And there's several reasons for this. One of them is just to avoid the 50-50 completely, because there's no way to do a 50-50 that works. Because either you're going to have the problem where you treat everything straight down the middle and it's transactional, and then if one person makes more money than the other, that person always feels like they're getting the short end of the stick. Or you have to like subsidize the other person, in which case the other person feels like, why am I subsidizing you? It's not good.
Well, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Since you do support us,
right?
Is there ever a time where you feel I'm not providing something like to you? And how do you not?
Because I'm the man.
Now that was a very good question that she asked. It's true. How can you feel like the other person, if you're the main provider, is not providing enough for you? And his answer is just because I'm the man. You know, that's a big problem that we're having nowadays, where a lot of people, they feel like they cannot just speak up. They're gonna have to just stay quiet and accept things all the way they are. And then they keep that inside, they keep it buried inside, and then it starts bubbling, and it starts bubbling, and it starts bubbling. But guys, it's like a pressure pop. Unfortunately, one day, it's just gonna come out. Okay, the steam has to come out, and it's gonna come out, and it's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be extremely nasty. So that's why him saying, a man handle it, that's just a man's approach of saying, I don't wanna hear complaints, I don't wanna hear drama, let me just do this thing myself and just handle everything myself. But that is not the best way to build wealth. You need to have communication, and you need to have some form of a budget where both parties feel like they're both participating into it equally. Is it ever gonna be equal? No. It's extremely impossible, because you get a raise. What are you gonna do? Have a conversation now about splitting the bills a specific way because you got a raise now? Like, you know what I'm saying? It gets difficult.
Babe, can you do me a favor? Can you pay the bills this week, please?
Why?
Because I just need you to do it. I'm busy doing all the stuff.
Pay all these bills?
Yes. You do know how to pay the bills. You know where everything goes.
No, I don't ever pay the bill. You pay the bills. That's your job.
But how are you supposed to know? If something happens to me, what are you going to do? You need to know how to pay the bills.
I thought it just came out. Well, our mortgage comes out automatically. I don't have to pay that.
Yeah, but you still need to check everything. There's other things. You still got to pay the electric.
I don't know how to do that.
Car, insurance.
I don't even know who our supplier is.
Sarah.
Or our insurance.
So you don't have no idea where anything comes from.
No.
How do you think all this stuff just happens? You think it just automatically gets done?
Yeah, exactly. That's the situation that I was saying earlier. Is that you just need to understand at least what's going on. Now, let me tell you something. It's true. Like Dave Ramsey said this, and other people say it, and I think it makes sense to a certain degree. But let me elaborate on it before I say it. If two people do the same thing, then one person is useless. Right? If you're both good at cooking and you're both cooking at the same time, one of you guys is useless. Only one person could cook, the other person does something else. Right? And when it comes to handling the bills, it's a little different. Okay, yes, if one person is better with handling the money, some people love being able to just do the budget, they geek out, they love saving, they love doing all that, then that's great. But the other person has to at least understand what's going on and how to do it in case the other person is not around anymore. Okay, I mean, like I said, the person can end up in a hospital or any type of situation. You need to know how, as an adult, how to handle it. listen, you're bringing in money as well. So you're keeping this universe of yours going. So you need to at least understand where your money is going. Because if not, like, what are you working for? You're working for like nothing. You're just working and putting it into a pot and that's it. It's like you're not even getting a paycheck. It feels like you're just putting money into an account and that's it. You have no idea what's going on. So that's why, to me, I understand that one person handles the bills, but the other person needs to be knowledgeable enough to know at least what is going on and how to pay the bills and what is the logins to most of these accounts. All these important things they will need to know. That is my opinion. I have like a password book. I write all the passwords down and make sure, that is easily accessible. That way my wife one day is gonna go pay the bill, or something happens online with she can't sign in or whatever the case may be. She knows she's going to book and she could take care of it. That's the way, to me, it needs to be done.
So the way my husband and I budget is what I like to call the 95% joint model. And it breaks down like this. We have a joint checking account, and his paychecks from his job hit joint checking. When I pay myself from my business, it hits joint checking. So all income kind of goes into this one pot. And this is the account that we use to cover all of our bills. We save from this account, we invest from this account for ourselves and for our kids. We cover, family fun, date night, all of these things get covered from joint checking. But at the very bottom of our budget, we have what is essentially fun money, and I call it hubby and wifey funds. So what I'll do is once I reach this section of the budget, I will split 50-50 whatever is left. So if there's $400 left in the budget to work with, he's going to get $200 and I'm going to get $200. And that money will go to our individual checking accounts. So we'll use this money for our hobbies. If we want to grab a gift for a friend's birthday, if we're going to get gifts for each other, we'll use hubby and wifey funds, and that way the other person doesn't know where it's coming from or how much it was. If I want to make an investment in my business, I'll use wifey funds. And we don't monitor how the other person spends this money. It works for us. We've budgeted this way for 6 years. Our joint income has varied a lot over those 6 years, but our budgeting kind of framework, our template hasn't changed.
Okay, that's a pretty cool concept they're doing. I mean, it works for them. That's the key to all this as well. I want to definitely add this before I end this video is, it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you guys are okay with it and you agree to this is how I want it to get set up. The only beef that I got with this whole situation, with the man handles it all, whatever the case may be, is not knowing what's going on. You have to know exactly what is going on, what bills are being paid, what the interest rates are. At the minimum, know that information, because like I said, you can't be extremely reliant on someone, right? Like, I know people say, oh, everyone wants to be so independent, everyone wants to be so independent. At least have the illusion that you are independent, but you're not. Okay, together as a team, you're trying to build something, but you at least want to feel like, okay, I'm independent, I can handle the bills, I have my own money, I could buy my own things. Having that feeling does feel good, but knowing the money you put in a 401k account, the money you put into investing, the home you buy, all this other stuff you buy, that is definitely a 50-50 split. That's something you both put money into to earn. So I want to wrap this video up by saying, guys, what is your plan? What do you guys do, and what do you feel is the right budget plan to have? Because to me, this is extremely interesting, very controversial. People get outraged, and I just find it, what is the best solution to it all? Who knows? But I definitely want to hear yours. Catch you guys in my next video. Peace.